Just a reminder, please put your masks on all the way. We're on page 353. Beloved of the soul, source of mercy, draw your servant into your arms. I leap like a deer to stand in awe before you. Yedid nefesh harachaman, Yedid nefesh harachaman, Nishalcha b'decha El retzon
Shabbat Shalom. I would say welcome to second day Yom Kippur, but that's not a thing. Shabbat Shalom. I'm incredibly happy that all of you are here. I would give my spiel about please keep your mask on, but I think we've all been together for about a week now, so I don't need to give the spiel tonight. If everyone could just take a big deep breath in as we let go of that intense week that we've been in, and we kind of sit in this liminal time right now as we move from Shabbat and we watch the moon get bigger and bigger until it's full and we step into Sukkot. Do I sound better? I'll probably sound wiser now too. You just needed to fix the mic, that was the problem. So I'd like to invite up Stephen Weinstein's family to help us light the Shabbat candles and help us come into Shabbat. We are on page 2. Thank you. Now, as we light the candles, we step into Shabbat, and as intense of a week as this has been, I guess more than a week, going from Rosh Hashanah, the 10 days of awe, to Yom Kippur, you come back to Shabbat, and I think of when you see a ballerina and they're spinning, and you're like, how do they not fall over? And they have a little spot on the wall that kind of centers them. And as much as we can spin in life in the intensity of the holidays, we come straight back to Shabbat, which is our spot on the wall. And so we move to the Chadodi, which is welcoming in that Sabbath and that joy and that excitement of this new time. We're on page 20. Lechadodi
ותחילה ילך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה התעוררי ואורי ומיורי יורי שתפרי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה ילך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום תרפלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמונה המסגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה איי איי לך לקראת עלה פני שבת נקבלה איי איי לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה איי 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 לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת
And on page 24, we move to Shalom Alechem, which is, it's about angels coming in, and we're imagining them literally lifting us up as if we're getting lighter as we enter this new time. And so take a big breath in and let it out, and just feel your feet becoming lighter as we move to this new time, where kind of all the worries and the stresses we just leave behind us, and we elevate to a new time before we have to get back to reality tomorrow night. Please be seated.
Shalom Aleichem Malachei Asharet Malachei Elihu Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Boachem Shalom Malach
as we move into the Baruch, where we are hopefully more into a Shabbat space now. And once we're in that Shabbat space, then we actually move into the service, which starts right here on 28. Please be seated. Please join me in the English on page 30 for the Mariv Aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly choruses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim.
Umavir yom umehevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai Tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamidim lo chaleinu le'olam evaed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Haravim. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael.
partly the music, and it's a lot Cantor luck that somehow takes me on journeys to places in my past. So right there I was at camp as a kid as the sun was setting, the end of a long day, and kind of that calm sensation. And that's the Nusach. It changes throughout the year to have us different emotions at different parts of our lives. And then we move into the Shema. And the Shema is a time where you stop and you almost retreat from the outside world and you close your eyes to really focus in on your breath and just your hearing, and the distraction we get some seeing, we begin to look within. So I'm going to invite everyone to close their eyes and just focus on your breath, listen to the music, feel where you are now. You may travel to the past, but try to bring yourself back to that breath of being here in the present.
Start this on an ooh.
Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
Please join me responsively on page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God. keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Perhaps you saw on the way in here, our tribe group has been busy all day building our sukkah, our Sukkot Shalom, our shelter of peace. There is a tradition in Judaism that once you've entered the month where a holiday occurs, you're allowed to start singing some of those holiday melodies even before the holiday arrives. So what we're about to do together is totally kosher. I don't want anyone to worry as we sing Mi Chamocha on page 40 to a melody that is so old that it is rumored to have been passed down directly from God's mouth to Moses' ear, along with the Torah on Mount Sinai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nor hadehilot osefele. Let's try that again. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nor hadehilot osefele. Malchutecha rahu v'necha bokeh hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zeli anu ve'ameru Adonai yimlot le'olam va'ed. Yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai ya ba 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 ba, yai ya, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, yai la la la, ya 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 ya.
We reach the point in our service we say the Misha Berach, the blessing for those who are in need of healing. If there's someone who you are praying for either the healing of their body or the healing of their soul, if you will please share their name when my hand passes over you. If you're online, we invite you to type the name into the chat of who you are praying for. As a congregation, we're praying for Frank Friedman, Rusty Holden, Lauren Knickerbocker, Trudy Selman, Edith Bat Ruth Isaiah, Yerachim Ben Sarah Abraham, Marla Fields, Janice Berman, Mary Meyer Ryan, Ed Portnoy, Zoya Kobovich, Natalie Saltiel, Janet Haas, Art Pilch, Misha Berach Avatenu Vimotenu, Avraham Yitzhak V'Yakov, Sarah Rivka Rechel V'Leah, Hu Yivarech Etach Olim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and a complete renewal of spirit. And let us all say Amen.
Misheberach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. On Sukkot, we build this sukkah, this shelter, and we ask God, as we do every night when we say Hashkivenu, to wrap us, to literally wrap us in God's Sukkat Shlomecha, in God's shelter of peace. You take a look at the third line on page 42. We say every night. It holds even more meaning on Sukkot. So if you aren't able to build a sukkah where you live, we hope that you'll come during the week and say the traditional blessings for Sukkot, and you can also sing this song when you're in the sukkah. Ufros aleinu sukkat, sukkat, shalom echa, ufros aleinu sukkat, sukkat, shalom echa, yain Adonai. שלומך ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם ופרוץ עלינו סוכת שלומך ופרוץ עלינו סוכת שלומך.
As we turn to page 46, I invite you to please rise as we turn to the Amidah.
Adonai Svatai Tiftach Adonai Svatai Tiftach Ufi Agid Tehilate וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע מוריד הטל מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר הסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני העפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please continue silently with the words on the page or with the words in your heart. And when you have finished, please be seated.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
So it's now my honor to invite up Naomi Tucker, the executive director of Shalom Bayit. And I could give all of the accolades of how she's nationally known, and she began the organization Shalom Bayit here in the Bay Area, and her soul has transformed the Bay Area. And just to speak on a personal level, I'm lucky enough to be one of the co-chairs of the Rabbinic Advisory Board to Shalom Bayit, but I can tell you that every single rabbi, Reform, Reconstructionist, Renewal, and Orthodox in all of Northern California, whenever any of us find out that there is domestic violence or abuse occurring, the very first phone call which we can make is to Naomi. And so Naomi truly has brought that peace within the home, but also peace within our community, really one person at a time. And through this pandemic, you can imagine the work has gotten harder and more. So we are so incredibly blessed and lucky to have you here tonight, Naomi.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Bauer and Cantor Luff, for having me here this evening. Congregation Emanu-El is a very special place to Shalom Bayit. We had some of our first meetings here. Some of the first rabbis spoke out in the Bay Area about domestic violence here. And a lot of transformation has happened because of Congregation Emanu-El. So I just, first of all, want to bless you all for your beautiful, beautiful community. And thank you so much for having me here and for caring so much about this issue. And I want to say a big Shana Tova to you all. I hope that you all had a really meaningful, deeply reflective Yom Kippur. And tonight, the Shabbat between Yom Kippur and Sukkot is the moment in our holy day journey where deep reflection meets joyful celebration. So as we get ready to take in the meaning of Sukkot, we think about the fact that Sukkot commemorates our time of our 40-year wandering in the desert, when the Jewish people didn't have a safe or permanent place to call home. We had left slavery, we were seeking freedom, and along that journey towards the promised land, our ancestors needed a place to lay down in the desert and be safe. And so they built Sukkot, or booths, and that is the reason that we build those today, to remember that time of not having a safe or permanent place to call home. That journey from slavery to freedom is very much like what survivors of domestic violence experience today, even in our modern world, when they flee their own homes and everything that is familiar, seeking safety. And they generally stay somewhere temporary if they physically leave, a place that's not fully like home, until they reach a permanent place they can call home. So by doing the mitzvah of whatever you might do in the sukkah next week, eating, being with friends and community, or maybe even sleeping in the sukkah for a night if you have that opportunity, try it out, we get just the tiniest taste of what it might be like to not have total protection from the elements, to not have everything that we need. Personally, I love Sukkot because it's a holiday dedicated to joy. It's dedicated to joy and gratitude even in our most fragile moments. It's dedicated to hospitality and friends and ancestors, creating community even in our vulnerability. And we know a lot about that this year. It's a holiday that celebrates the meaning of home, and that's very poignant today. Many people, of course, don't have one or are at risk for losing the one they have. We have only to look around us at the homelessness everywhere, the refugee crisis, the housing crisis and housing instability, people fleeing the Bay Area because they can't afford housing here. So just like our ancestors, this is a time when we think about what it means to pack up all our earthly belongings and carry them with us on our backs. The pandemic has also deeply affected the way that we relate to home and shelter. Home has taken on so many meanings since last year. Refuge from a virus, yes, but also a place of isolation for some, a place where work and personal life blur, a place of endless time with our partners and family, for better or worse. For far too many, home, that place that should be sacred, is the most vulnerable or least safe place in their lives. The pandemic has been particularly dangerous for people experiencing domestic violence. It's actually been so bad that everyone, like world leaders from the Pope to the head of the UN, have been talking about the spike. And we at Shalom Bayit have seen a 25% increase in calls for help just within the Jewish community, and that's pretty consistent with what's happening worldwide. Staying at home to stay safe is an ironic entrapment for those whose home is not safe in the first place. Among women, 50% of homelessness across the entire United States is caused by domestic violence. So it's a leading cause of homelessness among women because people need to flee their own homes to get safe. You all know that the pandemic has laid bare many inequities in our society, from racism to unequal access to healthcare to economic injustices. And so domestic violence is also one of those stark realities. It's always been here, but it has been so amplified during the pandemic. And not just physical violence, but also the more hidden forms of abuse. So we hear a lot from people who say that they knew their relationship wasn't so great, but being 24/7 with their partner made them realize just how bad it really is. It might be emotional abuse or financial control, or just some of those hidden types of abuse that people don't necessarily think to label, or they blame themselves and think, well, I'm just having trouble. But actually, they are in a controlling relationship. It's a reality, actually, for 1 in 4 women in the United States, and that statistic is no different in the Jewish community. So 1 in 4 women, as well as gay men and trans folks, will be in an abusive relationship in their lifetime. And when I think about that, 1 in 4, I just find that staggering. When I talk about domestic violence, I'm referring to not just the physical violence, as I said, but that really a pattern of power and control where one person is clearly in control of the other person. And this happens in adult relationships. Teens know it can happen in teen relationships. And kids talk about it happening in friendships. What we want to do is recognize it and stop it before it gets worse. Once people are in it, of course, it's harder to escape. About 110 women reach out to Shalom Bayit every year for help because they're in an abusive relationship, and that's the Bay Area Jewish community. I can tell you that this year we've already helped 135 people, and it's only September. So we're definitely seeing the numbers continue to rise, even in the second year of the pandemic. And you might ask, who does this affect? It really affects everybody. It affects people of all different segments of the Jewish community, moms, people without kids, well-known donors or leaders in the community. Domestic violence doesn't discriminate. So when someone calls us, we help that person by listening, providing resources, offering counseling, support groups, helping them navigate systems for help, and empower themselves towards safety. We really walk with each person on their healing journey for however long that takes in whatever way they need. And sometimes that's helping them get to a temporary shelter, like a sukkah, a place that isn't their forever home, but will do for now. It's temporary protection. I should say that we offer those services in Russian as well, and we are the only Russian domestic violence program on the West Coast, so we're pretty proud of that. But as I said, we also want to prevent it from happening in the first place, so that's why Shalom Bayit's prevention programs are so important. Training and education for youth and adults to strengthen our community's understanding and response. It's so incredible when, with things like our signature Love Shouldn't Hurt teen program, which, yes, does happen here at Emanu-El. Each year we teach over 1,400 young people starting at age 11 about consent and warning signs of abuse and Jewish tools for creating healthy relationships. And it's amazing to hear kids of all genders and all ages talking about how relevant this is to their lives and how now they feel their Jewish education is so right there, able to help them in their friendships and their social environment. I'm really proud to say that over 17,000 Bay Area Jewish youth have been through that program. We also, speaking of Emanu-El history, we started a program here in 2017 called Creating Consent Culture from the Ground Up that has now gone all over the Bay Area, but the very first one was here. Thank you, Rabbi Bauer. And we have other really exciting things that engage the community, like our Menshep Minions for Men, where men can gather to create a new norm of healthy Jewish masculinity. And We Commit, which is our education program to prevent workplace harassment. So one way that the community and you all can partner with us to help stop domestic violence in our midst is to bring one of those programs to your circle of friends. We will customize anything for just about anything, any group of people, and yes, we can do it all on Zoom. Speaking of Zoom, it's totally amazing for me to be here in person. This is a very lovely Shehechianu moment. It's actually my first time in a sanctuary since the pandemic, so thank you. Another way that you can help is to just be a good friend to someone who's going through a hard time in their relationship and listen and see if there might be abuse happening under the surface. So tonight's Torah portion, Hazinu, actually means listen or give ear. And listening is a powerful message in our teachings. We hear it in the Shema that we just recited together. Hear, O Israel. We just listened to the sounds of the shofar. Listening is so important. And it's a powerful way that you can help someone just by listening to their story and believing them. When we truly listen, we can be a sanctuary or a Sukkot Shalom for that one person who really needs us. Another lesson from our Torah portion speaks directly to how our community can help stop abuse, and that's the actual content of what's going on in Parshat Hazinu. So in this Torah portion, in his final words to the Jewish people, Moses directs them towards right behavior and talks about wrong behavior and warns of dire consequences for that wrong behavior. In an ironic twist, Moses then, of course, doesn't get to enter the promised land. He's punished by God for having lashed out in anger, and he will die on the mountain. This is God's way of demonstrating serious consequence. Moses led the people to the promised land, but because of his actions, he doesn't get to taste it or experience it or fully know that they made it. Consequence and accountability are crucial when we think about those who cause harm to others. Without consequences, domestic violence will continue unchecked, but when we call out the misdeeds that we witness, which Torah actually teaches us we should and must do, when we hold each other to high standards of ethical behavior, when we realize that how someone behaves at home should embody Jewish values just like how they behave in public, that's when we can stop abuse from happening and then become a communal Sukkot Shalom. So Judaism teaches us specifically not to stand idly by, lo ta'amod al dam re'echa, and to speak out if someone is being harmed. So you can speak out if you notice something that isn't right. I think a lot about this when we talk to kids about tattling. I don't see tattling as negative if it's helping someone out of harm, actually. Judaism teaches us not to tattle idly, right? Not to gossip. But that we actually should if we know that someone is being hurt. There's another lesson that comes from this, which is really about speaking truth. There shouldn't be shame in talking about problems at home, but often we feel that way, and that lesson has sort of been passed down through the generations. And so when we, as a friend, encourage someone to speak their truth, we're actually helping to break that cycle of shame that keeps people trapped in that situation. So Sukkot is full of lessons about home and the ability to create home wherever we are. Home is the gathering place where we build a sense of togetherness, regardless of what's happening in the external environment, and really where that concept of Shalom Bayit comes from. So Shalom Bayit means peace in the home, and it comes from this Jewish sense of wandering and vulnerability, that there might be danger out there, but wherever we make our home, whether it's a temporary sukkah or our little cozy nest somewhere, that is where we are safe. That's where we create shalom, even if it doesn't exist in the world around us. This idea that we can create a safe zone wherever we are is such a Jewish concept, and it is a way that we can survive difficult times by creating what it is that we need. Sukkot is a reflection on that very vulnerability. As we stand in a roofless booth with canvas walls, we're vulnerable to the elements. We can feel the rain, the cold, the wind. I wish we could feel the rain. Let's feel some rain this year. We are vulnerable to strangers passing by and to the world outside the security of home. So it's curious that this holiday of vulnerability is referred to as Zaman Simchatenu, or the season of our joy. What is joyous about not having a roof over our heads? Amazingly, what Judaism extracts from our history of wandering and homelessness is actually a positive message of hope and gratitude. That even when things around us are unstable, unpredictable, impermanent, imperfect, or we don't have all that we need, we can still be grateful for what we do have, a little bit of shelter from the elements. We've all been practicing that powerful Sukkot teaching the last 18 months. Being grateful, for example, for our health, or just for being alive, or for having a safe home where we can shelter in place. In the past year and a half, I've found personally that this practice of gratitude is the thing that has saved me in this otherwise really tough time. When my clients were stuck at home sheltering with abusive partners with no escape, or others were completely isolated at home with no other human contact, I felt grateful to have a safe home and someone to be with to ride it out. Gratitude helps us survive hardship. It reminds us to get some perspective and to find the glass half full. Research studies at Stanford have even found that gratitude, having a daily gratitude practice, improves health outcomes. So this time prescribed for reflecting on hardship is also a time to find our gratitude, be grateful, and find that inner joy. There's a Hasidic saying that the sukkah is the only mitzvah into which a person enters with their muddy boots. We enter the sukkah with our whole being, with all of our goodness and all of our schmutz, our come as you are reality. We are exposed and imperfect, and that is okay. Perhaps in order to experience Zeman Simchatenu, our time of joy, we have to get some dirt on our boots because life is muddy and complicated. So from experiencing what's hard, we learn to appreciate and make the most of what we have and be present. So if you are not safe at home, or if you know someone who's struggling in a relationship, I want to invite you to seek support. You're always welcome to find me, and I'm actually going to stick around after services if anyone wants to talk to me individually. But I also encourage you to reach out to your amazing clergy here who, as Rabbi Bauer pointed out, know right how to get a hold of me. I have some Sukkot blessing cards and other information on the tables outside in the lobby. But one thing that you can do is think about this Sukkot as you enter a sukkah. Think about people who don't have a safe or permanent place to call home. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and so we're just a few days away from that, and purple ribbon is the color for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so we like to tie purple ribbons on our sukkah, or if you're just having a virtual Sukkot, you can imagine purple ribbons, or you can join our virtual Sukkot celebration next Thursday. And just use this opportunity to think about who are the vulnerable people around you, and how can we as a community be a resource to those vulnerable people. I think, as I said, one of the most important ways that we can also support people is just to be a good listener. So I want to come back to that very powerful message of our Torah portion and ask us, when we notice things around us, to just listen. Listen for the things between the lines that might not be so obvious, so that we can be good friends to people that might be in trouble or might not be feeling comfortable to tell the whole truth about what's happening in their home or in their relationship. And I want to bless us all with remembering to be grateful even in hard times. May we all experience peace and safety in the place that matters most, because everyone has the right to be safe at home. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And I know not only on behalf of our teenagers and the training that they receive here every year are we so grateful to you, Naomi, but also on behalf of those who we don't, the anonymous, whether from our congregation or anywhere in the Bay Area. This community is in such gratitude and thanks for the holy work that you are doing. And I offer, in honor of that, an Oseh Shalom in solidarity with victims of domestic violence. Oseh Shalom Bimroman Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom.
And before we move into the mourner's cottage, because I know we have hundreds of people at home watching and you're not going to be able to receive this card, so if you go to shalom-bayit, BAYEIT.org, you can access all of the resources and also be in touch. That's shalom-bayit.org. As a congregation, we remember those who will be laid to rest after this Shabbat. Tim Van Linkheim. And we remember those who passed away in the last 30 days. Robert Bob Gordon, Rabbi Richard Hirsch, Dorian Ruth Silverstein, Marilyn Benioff, Joe Whalen, Cynthia Gris Bauman, Iradia Markova, Samuel Friedman, Eleanor Maisie Cohen, Sue Siegel, Miriam Rand, Estelle Reutblatt. And we remember those whose yahrzeit, whose passing falls on this Shabbat. Deborah Asnes, Ruth Asnes, Aram Athanasian, Frederick Baer, Rulia Barkordian, Carl Baum, Irving Lewisberg, Constance Blanc, Benjamin Busina, Harold Berger, Sarah Chesler, Gertrude Peckhoff-Cohen, David Israel Cook, Patricia Dillick, Edmund Theodore Ursepke, Ann Ettlinger, Betty Fetterman, Curtis Fields, Eva Fleischer, Felix Frankel, Bernard Friedman, Charles Gensler, Louis Goldstein, Ian Montgomery Graham, Edward Graham, George Gray, Estelle Greenberg, Nina Gruen, Pearl Fisher Harlan, Judy Jorgensen, Abraham Joslo, Pauline Youngrice, Benjamin Catton, Heidi Lynn Kaufman, Maurice Kleinberg, Igor Kopolenko, Ida Lauren, George Levine, Margaret Levy, Shirley Levy, Lydia Lieberman, Harriet Lloyd, Gary Luck, Stanley Liss, Edward Mack, Cecilia Michael, Ben Ortenberg, Harvey Ozer, Charles H. Powell, Charles F. Rich, Dorothy Rosen, Lester L. Roth, Harry Rubino, P. Lewis Sanders, Edward Sasson, Sanford Siegel, Melvin R. Solomon, William Kreitzberg Spinrad, Irving M. Stahl, Milton Serkin, Robert Ortel, Rick Weinfeld, Joanne R. Weiner, and Edwin Zalas. If you are remembering someone who passed away in the last week, the last 30 days, or if this is the yahrzeit, the anniversary of their passing, if you'll please share their name when my hand passes over you. Please rise. We're on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, bi'amad divrach rotei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agalau b'zmin kiriyav v'imru amen, yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam amei amaya, yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah brichu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran bi'amah v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
At this time, if you are in a pod with the person next to you, I'd like you to find that person's shoulder. If you are here and you're not in a pod, You're just like Rabbi Bauer, myself, Carlos, and Ricky. So don't feel bad. Just know that we are hugging you right now. And you are hugging us and blessing us as we pray for peace. Oh, say Shalom Bimroha. Say Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Ve'imru Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Ve'imru Amen. Oh, say Shalom Bimroma, say Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru Amen. Ya la la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, oh ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, oh say Shalom Bimroma, say Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru
It is my honor to invite up Stephen to lead us in the Friday night Kiddush. Tomorrow morning, Stephen becomes a bar mitzvah.
Go ahead and pick up the Kiddush cup. First, remove the cap. Be careful when you lift it up. It's a little tippy.
So are we.
Now remember, when you're done, you're not actually going to drink it because of COVID, but as soon as you get home, the first thing you're going to do is take a sip of grape juice. Okay? Here we go.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh ve'eshit ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim B'Shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
So as we wrap up and we move into Shabbat, I'm going to, well, first thing, if everyone can take their prayer books back to the cart, but also if you go on our website, and if you're online, if you go on our website, you can see all of the Sukkot activities happening in this coming week. plus including the Senate Council, will be meeting there if you're interested in getting involved and really signing up and trying to shift our city from where it is today to where it ought to be, because we have got a lot of work to do to get it to where it ought to be. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, we'll also do a virtual motzi here.
They'll take the challah home with them.
Take a challah home. Let's see what we got here.
Here we go.
Oh, it's
Still
round.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Shabbat Shalom.
And the lowest carb challah
Ya
ever.
la 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 bim bam 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 ya ba 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 bam. Ya ba 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 bim bam 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 ya ba 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 ba. Shabbos, Shabbos, so sein Shabbos, 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 so sein ya ba 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 bim bam 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 ya ba 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 bam. Ya ba 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 bim bam 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 ya ba 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 bam. Shalom, Shalom, so sein Shalom, 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 so sein ya ba 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 bim bam 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 ya ba 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 bam. Ya ba 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 bim bam 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 ya ba 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 bam. Shabbat.